During the preparatory session, when I had an opportunity to exchange few thoughts with BVR Garu, in the end, BVR Garu told me, Rajesh, you may also have all the answers. I told him, yes, sir, I have all the answers. But what is more important is to have the right answers with the right wisdom. That is what is more important. And it's such a pleasure to have you today here, sir. So we're looking for those right answers with deep wisdom that you have.
Sure.
To kick it off, in terms of the first thing I wanted to check with you, BVR Garu, AI has been around for 50 years now, or more than 50 years. If someone in the audience, does anyone in the audience know when was the first AI application that came into existence? Any takers? The first AI application came into existence in late 50s, early 60s. They used a computer called Mark Ferranti 1, which was used to play a game of checkers. And can you imagine what was the memory of, or the RAM that was used at that point of time? It is 0.28 MB. I repeat, it is 0.28 MB. Now look at where we are. So that is the significant advancement that has been made in the AI world. And we know that AI has been making rapid strides year on year. About 6-7 years ago, it shook the entire world when DeepMind of Google defeated the world's best Go player. Computer has defeated the world's best Go player. So all that has been happening. So the question to you, BVR Garu, is the tech has been around for several decades. When the tech has been around for several decades, why is there a special emphasis on it now?
Thank you, Rajesh, and good morning to all of you. Thank you, HMA, for inviting me for your annual event. I spoke about a couple of weeks back. Please do not believe that I'm a stock speaker for HMA. But the topic was so tempting that I thought I'll come and share a few thoughts of mine, and especially with a moderator like Mr. Rajesh Dhuddu. Rajesh, you asked this question saying that which was the first AI application. So can I pose a question back to you? Which was the first PhD in AI?
I didn't expect this is out of syllabus for me.
Thank you. So the first PhD in AI, it so happens it's by an Indian. Dr. Raj Reddy's PhD in Stanford University in 1961 on speech recognition was the first PhD in AI. But by a strange coincidence that I happen to know Raj well, and I was associated with him for as many as 10 years. We ran a business together from 1982 to 1992. And this was around 1985, 1986, which we're talking about somewhere in the range of about 36, 38 years back. Those were the days when, you went on a sales call. You did not have a mobile phone. You did not send them a text message that you're going to be there. All that was not there. So long rides. It was actually, I still recall, the sales call was an IIT Mumbai director. So we were talking about it, and you have this long ride, so you get to talk to people. So Raj was saying that, Mohan, to have an autonomous car, we have all the technologies ready. This was, I'm talking about 1985. And he said, look, we have done A, B, C, D, all that are ready at this point of time. So very dumbly, I asked him this question, saying that, Anna, then what is stopping us from making this happen? And the answer was that we will require a 15-ton truck to follow us, carrying all the equipment to make sure that this car becomes an autonomous car. So that was the type of equipment that's required. Fast forward this 30 plus years that we're talking about, what has happened is that 15 tons has got reduced to as much as a kg or a 1.5 kgs. That is the transformation that we've seen. So the key driver, Rajesh, is the transformation in terms of technology that we're seeing. And today, this transformation has led into enormous amount of convergence of technologies. I'll articulate in a minute. And this has become the big pivot for us to use AI. So what are the technologies which we feel are converging at this point of time? The first is computing power. These were the days when Rajesh talked about the first
Computer.
AI application, the first computer that they were using. He said 280, it won't be 280, it must be 256, because it has to be multiples of
Right.
The 64 kb, 128 kb, 256 kb, 512 kb, I can go on, 1024,
Right.
and so on and so forth. So therefore, if you look at the computing capability at this point, from there to now, is like day and night. And what is it? It used to be CPU power measured by cycles. Then you said, you know, you can probably have GPUs and CPUs together. Then they became TPUs, transaction processing units. And what are we right now? We are in an age of what is called as the quantum computing. Quantum will not do one transaction at a time, but what you will see is a matrix of transactions being done simultaneously. That there's millions of transactions will happen just momentarily. That's what will happen. The second one is that we've also seen a tremendous amount of progress in storage. What was the storage used to be an 80 kilobyte floppy, and then it became a 256 kilobyte floppy. We were talking, oh no, I have the best of disk drives, 2 megabytes. Right. Now it's teraflops. Forget about teraflops. They're all now on the cloud. I don't even know how much amount of storage I'm using at this point of time. Or then you come down and say, it is number of sensors that have come by. Sensors which are in a position to sense every movement that you're seeing around. God gave us those 5 sensors. Those 5 sensors are repeatable right now with the computers too. And much more accurately. We'll come to that in a moment. So therefore, and these sensors, which are being so intense, so extensive, become cheaper, they become faster, and they become smaller. They're tiny and tiny. And they are putting out oceans of data. And the oceans of data is on which data is actually the feeding ground for AI. AI thrives on data. It's data which makes the difference to AI. Actually, we will talk about applications as we move forward. One of the constraints that we see is the data. Or the Western world is saying, in about 5 to 6 years from now, they will run out of all the data, that they can't make much progress with AI. So it is a convergence of the 4 things I keep talking about: computers, storage, etc., communication, sensors, and then the algorithms. The algorithms have also become very sophisticated to what they were in the past. The way in which people are writing algorithms which are in a position to do several more than what it was. So we keep calling them, as a result of it, you can see applications in every sphere of life. So the technology, the hardware part of it is accelerating AI. The software part of it is amplifying AI. It's a combination of acceleration and amplification, which doesn't happen in many situations. But here is what is further, is things are going to be much, much different. Not only I will say it's come to stay, but it is also going to overtake many things that we could not imagine so far. I'll give you a quick example. Rajesh talked about an application, but truly an application that was attempted by human beings was an application to do handwriting recognition.
Right.
And speech recognition. These were about 1996, 1997. That's when people started them off. And that is when actually they said the computer efficiency compared to the human efficiency was 0%. They could do nothing absolutely. Then it took almost about 26 years thereafter for the computers to become 100% as efficient as human beings. You say it has come to 100% efficiency. But then now look at one other application I'll give you, ChatGPT. That today, which is comprehension, contextualizing, instantaneous answering from large language models, that took 18 months. And what is the efficiency of that? Is 100%. And what we are seeing further, one more interesting one I wanted to share, the last data point, is that there are areas where actually the computers are more efficient than human beings. Example, vision. You look at the doctor at this point of time looks at the X-ray to check whether there are any lesions on the lung. You go through a normal process. And there's evidence at this point of time that the computers can recognize a lesion in the lung ahead of the doctor by 18 months. So therefore, people have calculated that backwards to say computers have 130% of human efficiency.
Right.
So therefore, it's come to stay. It's going to progress further.
Right.
I mean, amazing things will happen in years to come.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you for sharing, in such a lucid manner in terms of how the field of AI has developed over a period of time by leveraging compute power, by leveraging capability of sensors, and getting, first it was behind humans in terms of efficiency. It came on the par, and I think we are at a cusp where it is going to exceed humans in terms of efficiency. And you also gave an example from the medical world where AI is able to diagnose a disease much faster than a human being is able to. And in essence, it is making the doctors very, very effective. Earlier, I spoke to you about first application of AI in humanity. When it comes to business, it was Digital Equipment Corporation, which used AI to sort purchase orders that they were receiving. They used to get a lot of purchase orders. Each purchase order had a different configuration of computer, and they found that the staff is taking a lot of time to assemble that particular purchase order and fulfill the purchase order. So they demonstrated to the world that could possibly the first onset of automation, BVR Garu. It also gives us a very good segue to the next aspect of this discussion, as the topic is inspiring leadership in the AI era. We spoke about how computers disrupted the compute power, how they have accelerated the automation. Now coming to the field of leadership, how is it going to disrupt the field of leadership? And in terms of more so, we were taught in our classes that leadership has two components, the softer aspects and the harder aspects. So it will be good to hear from your experience how it is going to disrupt leadership, both from softer and harder aspects.
Thank you, Rajesh. Just continuing on the first part, what I'll conclude by saying is AI is transforming. So just continuing on what we talked about as the first part, was that AI has come to stay. AI is transforming business, industry, work, and the societies. So obviously, the second one that you came by is it is certainly transforming leadership too. Right. So therefore, to the question saying that, look, what's the impact of AI in leadership? It certainly will redefine leadership roles. It is not going to be replacing leadership at all. That I can assure you. So before I go to the softer and the harder aspects of life, let's look at what is the role of leader at this point of time in businesses. I'm sure HMA, Management Association, people are all from business and industry. Let me take that. So the three major things that come to my mind is how work is going to change, how workplace is going to change, and how the worker is going to change. Because of AI today, the work is transforming itself. Rajesh used this word automation a couple of times. The low-end jobs which can be automated have started disappearing. They're not there any longer. It's the higher jobs which will continue to be there. So the work content that we all see today is far different from what it is in the past. And that transformation has been age-old. It has been going on for ages. I was, by a strange coincidence, I spent last weekend in IIT ISM Dhanbad. I went for an event. They're celebrating their 100 years. And if you look at their traditional 100-year-old building, what came to my mind is, I don't know how many of you know about this role called Panka Puller. Some people know about this, right? ghosts used to be there. Any officer in the British Raj, even post-British Raj. In my childhood days, I saw even doctors having panka pillars outside their house. Basically, it was a replacement for fan. Something used to go on. So how do you do that? You still use mechanical pulleys, and then there's a thread, there's a rope that goes around it. And this guy used to go to sleep. It goes in one direction. Wakes up, it goes in the second direction. What happened to him? The fans have come. So work will change. Work will continuously change, whether it's a panka puller or a buggy driver or the horse-drawn carriages. We've seen all those transformations that have happened for sure. The second one is you should also be extremely careful and conscious of one thing. The worker is changing. The worker today is absolutely socially conscious. How many of you had 10 friends? I don't have, in your school days, 10 friends. 20 friends, you might still be up. 30 friends, somebody might put up their hand. If I say you have 1,000 friends, 10,000 followers, million followers, you don't. But when you have millions of followers, which means you're interacting with them, right? He is reading your material, not 100% of them, some percentage of it. So therefore, the worker at this point of time is a very socially connected worker. And he is also a socially very distracted worker. Constantly, look at me. I looked at my cell phone twice. Are there messages for me right now? I'm distracted. And so is the worker. It's very natural. Maybe there's something urgent, therefore I'm looking at whether that message has come in or not. So the worker is going to be different from what it was in the past. And the third one, it's the workplace that's going to be different. Even if you look at a factory, you don't require your workforce to be sitting in the factory. You have enough of your sensors which are placed, and you're sitting in a control tower which shows you how the performance is. Or if there's a small little leak of steam in one corner, sensor detects it. It also tells you which is the machine, which is the spare parts required, which is the crew that's required, and when can I schedule the crew to go and fix that particular leak. All that is being done by AI. So therefore, the workplace has also changed. Workplace for me too has also become extremely hybridized. People work from home. They're working from remote corners of the world. So the result is the challenges for leadership are going to be far, far different from what it was in the past. The leadership role is going to be different. So let's look at what Rajesh talked about, the harder aspects of it and the softer aspects of it. If you look at the harder aspects of it, as leaders, what do? We take decisions, right? Can the computers take decisions? They can help you take decisions. And they can make you take the decisions faster because they are in a position to actually access data, assimilate data, comprehend it, and present it to you. Present it to you in a format that it is absolutely understandable by you much faster. So therefore, the role of a leader is going to be different. And you will see a number of jobs that are there with you as a leader are automated. I have this very classic example of my speech making sessions. What was I doing? I used to call my EA, a young lady called Bhanu, and we used to have a session with her saying that, look, I got this request. I'm going to go for this event at HMA, Inspire, Impact, and I need to get the third word. Innovate, yeah. Innovate, Inspire, and Impact. So, we'll brainstorm for a little while before we came out saying that, there are 5 topics that you can talk about. Or this is the fireside chat, all right, but in the normal course.
Right.
And then what would you do? You say, I'm getting down to one of them. And then roughly, I would have a conversation with her. This is the contours of my speech. 5 bullet points, 8 bullet points, or whatever it is. She would disappear for the next 2 days, saying that I'm writing the speech for Mr. Reddy. So she comes back with the speech 2 days later. And then you start saying, I like this, I don't like this, and by which time I change my mind too. I'm also thinking I'm not dumb, I'm just not, idling myself. So I say, add this stuff to it. So the end result is, again, another 1 day of disappearance. And now, the same thing, sit in front of ChatGPT. do the same process, trust me, I can do it in just half an hour. And I don't need
Absolutely.
Banu Rekha. So the point is, Banu Rekha is still efficient. She's doing much better jobs at this point of time in her life. So the second one is automation will do a lot of difference. And the third one is the requirement from you, not only that is you need to be agile, you need to be fast. Those are the harder aspects of it. These softer aspects of it, which cannot be replaced by the computers for sure, is your ability to have empathy towards others, your ability to become creative, your ability to take a decision which is based on multi-dimensional. You can't feed all those multi-dimensional systems into the computer. So the sum total of the story that I have is that the role of leader will be redefined, is not replaced.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing such insights, especially the way you've triangulated the worker, the workplace, and the work is very, very insightful. In a similar conversation when I was having with the younger people, especially from some of the brighter management institutes, they posed a question to me, which I will repost to you.
Sure.
They said, sir, generally in the class we have a very good debate about this topic, whether leaders are made or leaders are born. Taking a cue from it, I would like to ask you, will the leader make the AI or AI will make the leader?
Good question, Rajesh, but I think the answer is fairly simple. AI will not make leaders. Leaders make the AI, and leaders will redefine the AI.
Okay.
That's what will happen. So we are going to use AI in terms of redefining the role of a leadership, but not AI can become the leader for us. And we've seen areas where AI cannot replace a leader. For instance, you take a call in judgment.
Right.
We still are not in a position to get AI algorithms taking the cue to take judgment into it.
Right.
And they're not they can't take into account the emotions, the
Correct.
empathy.
Correct.
These are some of the traits which are very unique with human beings. We don't know. Futurologists are telling us that it can happen in years to come. Certainly, I don't think it's in my generation, possibly your generation, Rajesh. But I think one thing I know for sure, Rajesh, tomorrow is going to be different from today.
Absolutely.
Okay? How different it is, I'm not a person, I can't tell you how different it is. So only what will make a difference to us is our ability to adapt ourselves. We know that world is uncertain. It will change tomorrow. That take it for granted. In the changed environment, if you have to be successful, the only way out is you need to become adaptable. That will be the key to do it. So therefore, leadership will not be overtaken by the AI, but AI will redefine leadership.
That's a wonderful way of putting it, and it also gives a lot of hope to all the management people sitting in the audience that their jobs and their relevance is not going to be disrupted. And when you spoke about the capability to judge and the presence of mind, I was reading an article in the paper about 2 weeks ago. 4 youngsters, they did not know how to get back from UP to Hyderabad, so they put the Google map, and Google map took them on a half-constructed bridge. The car fell down and all the 4 people lost their lives. So that could be, it was playing in my mind in terms of what disastrous consequences this technology can lead to if you don't have the judgment capability and the presence of mind. You spoke about the wonderful incident of using Banu for your speech writing. I think it's also going to trigger one more area. All of us know the power of 360-degree survey, right? And if you want to get back to someone, 360 was a good way to getting back to someone in the organizational context. I think going forward, AI is going to take over that, and you may not need the 360-degree survey, and the leadership style can be practiced with the help of AI in addition to practicing the speech. Now, sir, switching the gears, we spoke about individual effectiveness, we spoke about the impact of AI. Leadership is not only at the individual level, it is also at the national level. So in terms of, if we look at we as a nation, what should we be doing to sustain that particular leadership? And I say this in the context of few accomplishments of the country. My intent is not to undermine anything. We have done excellent in terms of space exploration, landing rover on the south pole of the moon. Nobody has done that. Now, if you juxtapose that with some of the things like, do we have a supercomputer? Is the supercomputer in the top 500 in the world? The answer is no. Do we have access to the quantum computer? The access is no. Do we have access to the foundational model? The access is no. So there are a lot of opportunities for improvement at the sovereign level. So what is your take? We should be doing as Indians and collectively as a nation to advance our competitive advantage in the AI world?
Good question, Rajesh, and I think you had many answers in the question itself. Thank you very much for that. I think one thing this nation has to do, and you complimented the nation, I'm completely aligned with you that there are several initiatives which are extremely turning out to be very positive too. Fully aligned with you. But here is the challenge we have. Many nations around the world today have a roadmap for AI. It's become so critical for the mankind, for the societies, that nations are saying we need to focus on. Not that I'm a great admirer of the current president of the United States, and I think we heard Professor Madan talking about issues of diversity and inclusion, but he did one thing right. The day he was sworn in as president, he said between SoftBank and Sam Altman, they'll put up $500 billion for research. You know, therefore, the importance is there. The point I like to make is we need to have a national policy for AI. And here is what bothers me a little further, is that I'm sure you know how tiny that country is called UAE.
Yeah.
Right? In terms of whether it's physical geography or in terms of population. But you wouldn't believe me, but I'll tell you, they have a minister for AI. And they have a minister for AI not from yesterday, not from day before yesterday, from 2016. And they have a very clearly laid out game plan.
Okay.
That is what I anticipate we should do. What's the game plan that we need to have? The first one is that the bottommost tier, where I think the emphasis has to become a lot more intense, if you truly want to become an AI nation, is the 4 building blocks I personally see is first is that you need to have competent, knowledgeable workforce. People.
Right.
So where does it start? It starts from the schools at this point of time.
Absolutely.
To teach them what AI is. So in our ability to get skilled workforce is the first and the foremost one. Not necessarily I'll tell you all the 4 blocks. The second block, which is equally important, is we need to have great amount of R&D to happen. R&D will come only when you start challenging the status quo, when you start critically thinking about how things are done, how things can be done, better done. That's when you see innovation coming out. R&D will lead to innovation, innovation will lead to newer ways of doing things. So the second thing the second building block is our emphasis on R&D has to go up. Okay?
Right.
The third one is, I talked about a little while earlier, is that we need to, for AI, the fuel is data. An enormous amount of data is required.
Absolutely.
I don't think we are making enough attempt to collect the data. Or even if we collect the data, we're not collecting, for instance, we had a debate day before yesterday on EMR, electronic medical records. With all due respect for many hospitals around here, there are very few which have good EMR systems. And somebody called out one of the hospitals. But the fact is that, if we in a nation like India, we have to collect the data. And please do not mistake, oh no, AI is working in the United States. Will it not work in India? No, our demographics are different. If you look at healthcare, we keep saying the urban data may not be useful for rural India. The rural India data is different from.
Absolutely.
So this is all based on the data
Absolutely.
that you have. So data will also lead us into interchangeability. But the fourth building block, which is equally important, is the privacy part of it. That is going to be a disastrous consequences it will have. We today are throwing away the data as you like. There's nothing called privacy. I get amazed as to how my number is available to number of people whom I don't like them to ever think about knowing me.
Correct.
Right? So therefore, and then I get calls. We now have a security protocol and so on and so forth that stops it. So therefore, I think the first four building blocks, I believe, for a nation to become AI nation, what we should do is skills, R&D, data, and privacy. The next building block we have also seen happening around the world is that we need to get use cases first. And here the example is that the use cases won't happen in private sector. It won't happen in corporate. They were hesitant and reluctant. The people have the vision, who have the money, is the government. Government has to deploy AI extensively.
Absolutely.
And those use cases are the ones which will make a lot of difference in terms of rest of the people joining the bandwagon. So there are several more building blocks that are there, but I think at least these 5 of them, if we do, I think we'll start gaining momentum.
Absolutely. And to your point on privacy, I'm reminded whenever I return back from foreign travel, when I switch on the phone, when the aircraft has landed, the first call is not from the family, but from the spammer.
Correct.
The spammer knows that I have landed much better than the family. And in terms of while you were explaining, I was correlating to some of the initiatives that the Honorable Finance Minister has announced in the recent budget. From that, it looks like we have taken good steps, but from your explanation and your thought sharing, it appears that we have taken only the baby steps. You did mention about $500 billion vis-a-vis 500 crores for AI in budget. It's a very good beginning, no doubt, but there's a lot more to do. That's why I think we are seeing DeepSeek coming from China and not from India. So to continue on that train of thought, what else we should do so that the world doesn't see only DeepSeek, but the world sees Deep Create and Deep Compete from India?
No, I think continuing on what we just now talked about, the building blocks, one of them that was important, I missed out, is also creating an infrastructure.
Absolutely.
That is extremely important. People do not realize when you're using, say, ChatGPT at this point of time, you pose a question, it goes into that circular ... stuff, and then it makes about 10 seconds or 15 seconds when it comes back with an answer. But what you don't realize is the amount of computing power it is using at that point of time, amount of bandwidth that it is using at that point of time. All that today is available because I think still users are low. But I think there's a good news. Actually, I have to share with this audience today. I saw a chart in the recent past on use of ChatGPT by various stakeholders in various states of this country. And Telangana gets 100 out of 100. Extensive use, which is very good. It is even ahead of states like Karnataka, Maharashtra, which are at about 80, 83, somewhere around that. So our usage is very high. So therefore, what we need to do if we really want to create the new DeepSeek, which could be new Deep Create, is infrastructure becomes extremely important. The second one is our innovation has to happen. We cannot follow somebody. We have to be a leader.
Absolutely.
Look at what happened with even DeepSeek. It certainly broke the rules of the game as far as the ChatGPT is concerned. They said there was no need for large language models.
Correct.
So it may be time for us to think about other ways in which we can do it cheaper. We can make it more accessible to the data that we have. The good news is, I think the other day, Mr. Ashwini Vaishnav, Honorable Minister for
Railways.
was having a press conference. He said there are 8 of those very deep technology-centric AI, generative AI startups that he sees in the horizon. And they probably will take somewhere between 6 months to 7 months before the first product gets released.
Correct.
I think initiatives are happening of that nature, Rajesh.
Yeah.
And I think I'd like to congratulate HMA and you getting the best out of me, all right, but HMA for having this particular meeting to create the level of awareness. I'm sure I'm not here to scare you off. I'm here to tell you the truth. This is a pragmatic situation
Absolutely.
that's on the ground at this point of time. And if the levels of awareness will grow in this country, I think we will definitely be there. And I was mentioning about another event I was there day before yesterday, AI in healthcare. I was extremely delighted. It was very gratifying to see medical doctors talking about how AI can be used in this country.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely, sir. I think you also bring out a clarion point from a ecosystem perspective. When DeMon happened, our Honorable Prime Minister said, each one teach one from a financial literacy perspective. Maybe there's a need for each one teach one from an AI perspective also.
Yes.
And to your point,
good point.
Yeah, absolutely. And to your point on the data availability, in my previous company, when we attempted Project Indus as a response to Sam Altman's challenge, when he said that nobody else other than ChatGPT or OpenAI can develop this. And when we wanted to build this foundational model, which is called as Project Indus, at that point of time for Hindi, all that data was there was not even 100 GB of the data which was available in the public domain. And we had to get onto an initiative which is called as Bhasha Dan. So we told people saying that, take your phone and start speaking about it, at least contribute that particular data. I'm talking about Hindi, and if you want to build the regional leadership, then think about languages like Dakni. The
data would be
very limited. Then I had to call up my good friend Amir Ali Khan, who is also the MLC of the state and is a good friend of mine. He's from the family of the Siyasat Daily. Then Amir had to step in, and then he had contributed to a lot of data. So a lot of interventions that are required. So now is the time for you guys to get your moment to ask a question. We will open the floor for questions. So when you are asking a question, please refrain from making statements. Please ask a question, direct question, and sir will be happy to answer those. Over to you. Anyone? Oh, okay. Oh, okay. It will come on the screen, is it? Good demo of the technology.
You can just scan the session 1 QR code, and you can type your name and type the question, so that comes to the speaker over there in the screen.
So since it's a fireside chat, while you're getting your questions out, since it's a fireside chat, there cannot be a session without rapid fire, right? So now is the time to increase the fire quantity and keep it to the rapid fire. I did take his permission to have these questions, but he did not have access to those questions. So we'll start the rapid fire, BVR Garu. What is your choice, human ingenuity or AI intelligence?
AI is just a tool, Rajesh. So ingenuity has to come from the human beings.
Right.
And it is the human being who makes the tool. It's the human being who knows purpose of life.
Exactly.
AI does not understand what the purpose of life is. So therefore, it's the human ingenuity which is above all.
Wonderful.
As far as life is concerned.
Wonderful. And from this answer, I can say that AI will not overtake me in my generation. It will not overtake people in the next 3 or 4 generations. Something which is common in the mind of the people or mind of students or the job seekers. What will AI lead to? Job losses or reskilling?
So we have seen this happening all around. Whenever technology came in, there were job losses did happen.
Right.
But the job losses did not mean that, they were gone forever. these people, what would they do? Reskill themselves.
Yeah, the panka puller that you told.
The panka puller is one aspect of it.
Right.
The other very famous story of mine is that I have a picture, I'm sure you can Google around, it's there on the internet too, 1905 on New York 5th Avenue.
Right.
You take a picture from a vantage point.
Correct.
And you find the whole of the street is full of horse-drawn buggies
Right.
with just about 2 cars. About 10 or 12 years later, from the same vantage point, people take a picture. The street is full of cars, except for a few horse-drawn buggies. So it doesn't mean that, we killed all the horses or the horsemen starved to death. Horsemen got reskilling done. So therefore, the answer is reskilling.
Reskilling is important. Moving on in terms of whether it is smart use of AI or making AI, which is more important?
I think, making AI is not a difficult thing at all.
Not a difficult thing at all.
Not difficult at all. They'll write more applications, more and more applications will come by. But I think making use of it.
Making use of it.
Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful. When will India attain AI hardware dominance? I'm of the opinion that we had software boom but hardware doom. And so when will AI attain hardware dominance? 2030, 2040?
Very optimistically, the number is 2040.
2040.
So 2030 is definitely not in my horizon.
So don't put your money on the hardware stocks at this point.
Right now, but then, semiconductor will do well. We'll start moving in that direction. But
Right.
I think we need to put a lot of effort on the hardware front to be where we are.
Yeah.
And that also makes me a little nervous at this point of time because our very friendly President of the United States now seem to be thinking about rationing GPUs to different countries. He has talked about it too at length.
Absolutely.
So when you have a GPU scarcity and countries do not produce GPUs, it will be a major challenge. So I think it's very important for this nation to build the hardware capabilities
Absolutely.
as soon as possible. But nothing happens overnight, and especially looking at this leading edge technologies.
Right.
Possibly it will be
Takes time.
2040.
Takes time. The final one, what will AI lead to, innovation or resilience?
No, it certainly will lead to more amount of innovation.
Innovation.
Certainly what we are seeing is that the trends that are there shows us that there will be enormous amount of innovation that will happen.
Right.
And therefore, the innovation has to start not necessarily from the college students or from the workplaces.
Right.
We are saying start them from the school, catch the child young, and start allowing them to think
Absolutely.
about the status quo, challenge the status quo, take risks in life, be persistent. That's when innovation will come out.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you very much. And we can go on and on. I don't see any audience looking at their phones and they are keenly listening to you, intently listening to you. I know I have the question, so I just wanted, because he did tell me that he has to get to a wedding, so I want to check with you in terms of how much more liberty we have to encroach into your time so that I can take as many questions as possible.
5 more minutes?
5 more minutes. Okay, so fastest finger first, going by what Amitabh Bachchan taught us. So I'll take the first one. What leadership principles have guided your journey as an entrepreneur?
Walk the talk. As simple as that. I walked whatever I said in my life, and I will do that forever.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. What are the challenges to be faced by leaders in AI? How it influences to the students?
Well,
I think you covered some of it.
Yeah, we can skip that.
We can skip that. AI is expected to destroy humans if used beyond a certain limit. So what is the solution?
No, I'm not too sure. So long as we do have ethical AI, unethically people are going to do some things.
Right.
It might, cybersecurity, they can destroy your financial accounts and so on and so forth. There are concerns, no denying it all. Especially we're very concerned about the new quantum computing that will come by. If the quantum computing goes into the wrong hands, we have a fairly major concern saying that, they can destroy certain things.
Right.
But otherwise, in general, no, you don't need to worry about it at all.
You've been a doyen in this field, mechanical engineering, production design area. So there's a question, how AI changes mechanical engineering and production and design area?
Enormous amount of change that technology is bringing us at this point of time. I don't know how many of you are mechanical engineers or civil engineers, or how many of you have used T-square and set squares in engineering? Put your hands up.
Yes.
You know what is T-squares and set squares.
Yes.
Next question, what is French curve?
There's one hand which is gone
Tell me
back.
what's French curve.
The lady over there, somebody raised the hand and now
Yeah, tell me.
they raised the hand down.
Please yell out from there. What's French curve? No? So if you look at the set squares, in that there are holes, and those holes are actually got nice curves on them. Those curves are called French curves. There's a name for it. And why are those curves that are there? Is for you to, there also are, like, set square or T-square is an aid for you to do the drawing. The French curves are also aid for you to put the curvatures. But we never use them. The reason for that is thereafter, if you use the French curves and made products, it is so difficult to manufacture them. The output of the manufacturing process used to be very, very poor. And therefore, but whereas now look at the technology that has come by.
Right.
I can do any French curve using 3D printer and with no cost. At lower cost than what you take material out of a billet, that becomes a product for you, right? A component for you.
Correct.
Whereas now what am I doing? I'm taking sintered pod or metallurgy and put wherever it is required. I can have intricate holes that are going through. Cooling for aerofins has become easier for us. So there'll be enormous amount of change in terms of product design.
Wonderful. Somebody from the legal fraternity, they want to understand, can AI be used to deliver speedy justice?
Yes, answer is yes. But will we use it? I don't think so. We want to postpone all our cases, week after week. There are people, I believe, who have been bailed for 14 years now on a multi-million-dollar scam that goes on. Nowhere else in the world it can happen, but it happened here.
Absolutely. I want speedy consideration from the spouse, but it'll never happen. So what is the percentage of job losses if the government and IT companies do not train the people in our country aggressively?
No, I don't think that's of a major concern at this point of time. The supply-demand situation will take care of it. There's enormous amount of pressure on people to get reskilled. The good news is they are getting reskilled at this point of time. But what will happen is that for a little while, wherever we have seen these technologies coming in, we talked about automobile at one point of time, or several more technologies, there'll be certain aberration in terms of higher job losses than job creation. What we are seeing for last year and this year too, it will happen is the net new job creation will be zero. There'll be gross jobs at the bottom of the pyramid will add, but there'll be some lateral losses that will also happen. But maybe you give us one more year, 26 will be a difficult year too. 27 onwards, you'll see the AI will catch up and create more amount of jobs. You'll see more amount of startups now scaling. At that point of time, you'll see more job creation.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much.
Note, let's close it. Thank you very much, HMA.
Can we give a standing ovation to sir?
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for such a wonderful question. The session was very good, the fireside AI chat, where sir has very nicely told about how the AI can only have the ability to be, not to be empathetic to others, and ability to be creative.
Thank you.
We are all talking about AI era, but still, we are facing lot of challenges in the cyber security also. So that's how the things go. It was very wonderful, sir. Thank you so much. And I thank the audience for posing such wonderful questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you. There's one more.
Yeah, we are live on YouTube. The link is shared.
Come, Rajesh.
It is shared already. Very good highlights that sir has spoken about, like how leaders will define AI, not AI will redefine the leader.
Be careful.
He also spoke about how quantum computing has to be handled.
Sorry?
And we also came to know about the role of a leader is just not very simple. It's going to be more tough in the AI era.